Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on this video and welcome to my channel. Please take a second to hit the subscribe button below if you like what you see and enjoy the video. We are roughly halfway through the 2023 MLB season, and every year there are always teams shocking the league by how well they are performing or how badly they are underperforming. But this year, we have seen a huge shakeup among the top teams in the league, especially when looking at teams that made the postseason last year. There are plenty of teams punching well above where their projections put them before the season, as well as a handful of absolute disaster teams so far. We're going to take a look at the several teams outperforming all of their expectations, as well as the teams whose seasons have been an absolute wreck so far. Let's take a look at the biggest surprises of this baseball season so far. One of the best stories of this season has been the success of the Texas Rangers, a team that went on a massive spending spree the past two off-seasons. In these last few off-seasons, the Rangers have brought in stars like Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, and Jacob deGrom, and brought in what was essentially a whole new rotation with Nathan Eovaldi, John Gray, and Andrew Heaney. With the Rangers playing in the AL West, home of the reigning champion Houston Astros and a playoff team in the Seattle Mariners, as well as the Los Angeles Angels, who are home to two of baseball's biggest stars, many viewed the Rangers' efforts as not enough to take the division. But so far this season, they lead the AL West and are a top 5 offensive team and a top 10 team in terms of pitching. They lead the league in runs scored, with an offense led by Semien, Seager, Adolis Garcia, Josh Young, Ezekiel Duran, Leody Taveras, and Nathaniel Lowe. The rotation has been strong even with the loss of Jacob deGrom, with John Gray and Nathan Eovaldi leading the staff. Everyone knew the star power this team was capable of, but it is certainly a surprise with how well this team has been crushing the ball so far this season. I don't think anyone doubted that the Rays would be strong contenders, but nobody expected them to win 13 straight games to start the season, go 23-6 in April, and take a strong lead in the AL East, the toughest division in baseball. The Rays have never spent big in free agency, but year after year they develop players on both sides of the ball. And this year they boast a strong pitching core led by Shane McClanahan, Zach Eflin, and a returning Tyler Glasnow. Rookie Taj Bradley has been solid in his first MLB season, and bullpen arms Jason Adam, Pete Fairbanks, Colin Poche, and Yanni Chirinos have rounded things out. The Rays have arguably the top offense in the game, led by Yandy Diaz, Randy Arozarena, Wander Franco, and Isaac Paredes, and rounded out with players having great seasons like Josh Lowe, Harold Ramirez, Jose Siri, and Luke Raley. They've slowed their pace down a bit as of late, but nobody expected them to go on the tear that they did to start the season. The Orioles were so bad for so many seasons that they were able to slowly develop a strong core of young players to help them turn things around. Well, that turnaround is here, with Baltimore owning one of the best records in the game. The kids are here, with catcher Adley Rutschman having an all-star season and top prospect Gunnar Henderson going on an absolute tear in June. They've had strong performances from Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins, and Anthony Santander to round out the offense, and the starting rotation has surprisingly held up so far with Tyler Wells, Kyle Bradish, and Kyle Gibson leading the way, although they will need reinforcements come the trade deadline. Baltimore has the best 1-2 bullpen punch in baseball, with breakout arm Yenier Cano and closer Felix Bautista shutting games down. They aren't far behind the Rays in the tough AL East race, and although people predicted this may be the year that they would really take a step forward in their rebuild, I don't think anyone expected them to take this many steps forward. The Marlins play in the NL East, another division that was projected to be one of the best in the game with the Braves, Mets, and reigning NL champion Phillies. The Marlins are currently in second place in the NL East, in front of two teams that were expected to be major contenders. Coming into the season, the biggest question surrounding the team was the hitting core, and if they could score enough runs to support their strong pitching depth. They made a trade to bring in the reigning AL batting champion Luis Arraez, who is currently hitting over 400 through June. Designated hitter Jorge Soler is among the league leaders in home runs, and Brian De La Cruz and Jesus Sanchez have rounded out the lineup with good seasons so far. The pitching has not performed as well as expected, mainly attributed to injuries and Cy Young winner Sandy Alcantara's struggles this year, but the Marlins still have great young arms in Yuri Perez, Jesus Luzardo, and Braxton Garrett in the rotation, and the bullpen has been great in close games between Tanner Scott, Andrew Nardi, Steven Okert, and AJ Puck. The Marlins are among the league's best when it comes to comeback victories and wins in close games, and have shocked baseball with how well they are playing in one of the toughest projected divisions. The Diamondbacks currently lead the NL West over projected powerhouse teams like the Los Angeles Dodgers and San Diego Padres. Arizona was another team coming into the year with a few strong pieces and an upcoming core, but their turnaround has also come quicker than expected, led by Rookie of the Year frontrunner and MVP candidate Corbin Carroll. The Diamondbacks are among the top offenses in the game, led by Carroll, Christian Walker, Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo, offseason trade acquisition Lourdes Gurriel Jr., rookie Dominic Fletcher, and veteran Evan Longoria. The pitching staff has been headlined by Cy Young contenders Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly as expected, and the bullpen has held up enough to close out games. They will have pitching needs to address at the deadline, especially in the rotation, but Arizona has been a huge surprise, owning one of the best records in the game in a division with two projected juggernauts, led by arguably the most dynamic rookie in the game right now. Another team in the NL West that has surged ahead of projected division leaders in the Dodgers and Padres is the 2021 NL West champion Giants. A red-hot San Francisco team rode a 10-game winning streak to put themselves within striking distance of the division-leading Diamondbacks. The Giants are a top 10 offensive and pitching team in the game, with a lineup led by players that some would not expect. Thairo Estrada, J.D. Davis, Lamont Wade, Mike Yastrzemski, Michael Conforto, Jock Peterson are all lineup mainstays who have contributed to San Francisco's offense. Rookie Patrick Bailey has come up and been strong behind the plate, rounding out a lineup of veterans, rookies, and breakout players. Logan Webb and Alex Cobb lead the pitching staff, rounded out by Anthony DeSclafani, and the bullpen holds several high-leverage arms having great seasons like closer Camilo Doval and the Rogers twins, Tyler and Taylor. The Giants have taken advantage of a struggling Padres team and some stumbles by the Dodgers to push themselves back into playoff contention. Speaking of winning streaks, the Cincinnati Reds have pounced on a weak NL Central with a current 12-game winning streak to propel them to the top of the division. Cincinnati boasts several of the top young prospects in the game who have come up to lead the team's turnaround. Elly De La Cruz is baseball's most captivating rookie with his electric mix of speed and power, and rookies Spencer Steer and Matt McLain have come up to be lineup mainstays. Joey Votto has just returned from injury and is already contributing along with the new young lineup core built around Jonathan India's established success. Andrew Abbott has come up and dominated on the mound, and Alexis Diaz is looking every bit as good as his brother Edwin closing games out. Cincinnati's turnaround from years of mediocrity is here, thanks to the kids that they've brought up this season, and the scary thing for the NL Central is that there are plenty more reinforcements on the way in terms of young talent. Now let's get into some teams whose seasons have been a surprising mess so far. The New York Mets came into the season with a nearly $500 million payroll after luxury tax penalties. The Mets are well under 500 and in 4th place in the National League East, and both of their $43 million aces have struggled in Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. The bullpen has been decimated by overuse thanks to the starting pitching's ineffectiveness and the absence of Edwin Diaz. The lineup has been inconsistent with the struggles of Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, and Starling Marte, all who were all-star caliber players a season ago. The team has no depth thanks to injuries and underperformance, and the only true hope for the organization is in the form of top prospects Francisco Alvarez, Brett Baty, Mark Vientos, and Ronnie Mauricio. The Mets can still make the playoffs, but they will need their stars from a season ago to return to form and hope that the struggling rotation can give them enough to ease the load on a taxed bullpen. The Padres were another World Series contender coming into the season, and things have not gone right in San Diego. The team is under 500, thanks mostly in part to them being at the bottom of the league offensively for the majority of the season, something that is shocking considering the star power they have in their lineup. The Padres have spent big the last few off-seasons and at the trade deadline to bring in a video game roster of hitters, and many of which have struggled. Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, and Jake Cronenworth have not quite found their all-star forms, and the offense is being kept afloat thanks to the return of Fernando Tatis Jr., Juan Soto's return to form, and an injection of power from Gary Sanchez. The pitching has kept the team hanging around a wildcard spot, but the Padres need more contributions from the stars in their lineup and the aces that they have in the top of their rotation in Darvish and Joe Musgrove. Like the Mets, the Padres have one of the biggest payrolls in the game and not much to show for it this season, but the offense is showing life as of late. The most disappointing and surprising team this season has been by far the St. Louis Cardinals. Last year they won the NL Central, had the NL MVP and third place MVP finisher, and a deep lineup and pitching staff that led them to a 93-win season. The Cardinals' offense has been among the top of the league, with a lineup centered around Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Nolan Gorman's hot start, and Jordan Walker as of late, but St. Louis is near the bottom of the league in pitching, and their defense has been a complete 180 from where it was last year. Fans were worried about the rotation coming into the season, and they were right to be. Jack Flaherty has struggled in his return, Adam Wainwright in his final season, and Steven Matz in his return from injury. The team's reliable bullpen arms from last year have not lived up to their performance from last season, and the team is missing the veteran leadership they had a year ago with Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols. With the Cardinals playing in one of the worst divisions in baseball, it is most certainly a surprise with how they sit at the bottom of a division that they won convincingly just a season ago. A bad start to a season isn't necessarily a death sentence for a postseason run, as we've seen a team in each of the last few seasons start off slow and then turn things around to make a run to the World Series or even win the whole thing. The 2019 Nationals, the 2021 Braves, and the 2022 Phillies are all recent examples of this exact scenario. On the flip side, being the best team in the regular season doesn't do much in guaranteeing a deep playoff run. Just ask the 2021 Giants, who won 107 games but lost to the 106-win Dodgers, who then lost the 88-win Atlanta Braves. There is still a lot of baseball left, which means a whole lot more surprises in the rest of the season to come. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button below.